Right, Callum, my first cleaning demonstration. Switch off, unplug, right? Don't risk getting yourself an electric shock. Also, I would take a piece of kitchen roll and I would sit it underneath so that any wee drips that are still likely to come out of the juicing section are getting caught and that they're not messing up your worktop. Okay, so we're now just on the basic disassembly procedure of this. Remember, a little bit of downward pressure, turn it anti-clockwise to disengage the plastic lock, that comes out. Now, there's very, very little mess on that. Very little, because we've hardly used anything. That can simply get rinsed under the tap. Okay, simply rinsed under a warm tap. Top section, if you remember, click it, a wee bit of pressure, click it anti-clockwise, lift it out. Simple. Okay, this is all it needs cleaning. Your unit, your motor unit, may have just a wee drip, a wee wipe, but that's all it would need. This now needs disassembled. Okay, so the central section just gets turned a couple of times anti-clockwise until it releases and just gently lifts out. Now what you'll see there is definitely some pulp on that, and also you'll see, as well as on just the basic spiral, this ridge on the inside has some pulp that's going to have to get lifted out. Now I would take all of that off before I rinse the sink. Basically that's because our drainage system and our U-bend in the sink would clog up if I just poured that down. So I would use my the bag that I've already started, and I would simply just take as much of that out with my knife as I can. Okay, as much off the spiral again as I can. You know, use your knife, use your finger, just simply take all the excess pulp that's on this plastic piece and just get it off and get it into the bag. Right, a few seconds, it's done. Just as much as you can. Right, as much as you can. And then once you've done that, what's left basically a good rinse under a warm tap, and it's clean. The next section, you will see in the inside there's again just a bit more of a pulp residue, there always is. Right, so this here just lifts out and separates. This bit in general has very, very little mess on it. So again, just a rinse, because it might have just some stickiness, just a rinse, that's dealt with. This section is possibly the most troublesome, because basically you've got to make sure that you get the mesh clean. So what I would do here, and again just as I said before, I would use my knife and I would just go around with my knife round the inside, and I would loosen and remove into my bag as much as I possibly can. Right, and again there's a wee rim, a wee ridge, which I think you can see around the bottom, but there's always a wee bit gathers just simply because it's like a wee trough. So a matter of a few seconds, just use your knife, spoon, fork, implement, whatever, just get as much out as you can. There's the wee hole at the bottom, just try and clear that, and once you've got as much out as you can, then again basically just a rinse. However, this time, because of the necessity to make sure that the mesh is clean, as I'm rinsing it, then I would use the brush, which I can't find, something, here we go. I would use the brush as I'm rinsing it, and I would be just scrubbing both on the outside and on the inside to make sure that that mesh is clean. But if you've taken a minute or two and got as much of the stuff out previously, then again you find that's just a matter of seconds and that's clean. Just a rinse. The last piece, this central section. Right? Now the only thing I would say about this, the nuisance, is things just get caught up in the little workings. Right? There's a little white cog gear wheel. Stuff gets mixed up in it. Right? Stuff gets caught underneath, as I said before, the silicone piece. Stuff just gets in there. Right? So you take that off and rinse it. You clean off round the middle with your finger, with a knife, with the brush. You release the silicone at the back and you just make sure it's clean, and that lets you get your knife in to the pulp chute and just make sure that everything that's in there that hasn't come out already is cleared and released. So again, you just use your knife, your fork, your spoon, whatever you've done, and just try and get as much of the stuff out as you can before you apply water. Now it may well be that your kitchen drainage system in Belgium is much easier. It's a wider plug hole and there's no U-bend for stuff to get caught up in. It may well be that you're quite happy just pouring food residue down the sink and it all just washes away and doesn't block up, in which case this is going to be an absolute piece of cake for you. You just take it and you just rinse it. The only reason I'm doing all of this in advance is to avoid having a problem with my sink. So after I've done that, again I just take it and rinse it. If I find that I've still got, you know, a reasonable bit that I can't get out, then I would put my wee sink sieve, you know, the wee kind of sink sieve in, just on the drain, and that catches the residue, and then I toss that out and I just try and make sure that as little food goes down my sink as I can. But as I say, your drainage system, you know, Laurent know that particular, Nadine know particular, how well it would cope with some food residue getting drained down there every day. Once that's done, which again really is just seconds in each individual, it takes 2 minutes in total, you just reassemble it or sit it on the draining board and let it dry. Once it's dry, reassemble it for the next time, just make your unit back up again. Really, it couldn't be easier. You're just making sure that you're as careful as you can be with the silicone pieces. You don't want to lose this, right? You don't want to damage this. You're making sure that you're as careful as you can with the input chute again, because as we said before, this little plastic bit here, if I can just, right at the edge, the bit that activates the switch in the motor, you don't want that breaking off. It is solid, but I don't suppose it would take a huge amount of bad pressure for it to break. So again, just a wee bit of care and it works no bother at all.